All the people that worked for the factory were fucking squares, you know. They had the grey overcoat mob banging on in coffee bars about poetry, you know, and going to see films with subtitles. Very fucking dodgy people.
How does it feel to treat me like you do?
But if Manchester hated the Stone Roses, the feeling was mutual.
So I popped in, and the offices above, the landlord was there, and I did a deal to lease it off him.
Renaming the club the International, Evans quickly established it as the main rival to Factory's Hacienda.
International was like an old 70s nightclub, you know, a carpet on the floor. It was a great place for a gig. I mean, the sound was shit. But it was an old, you know, it was an old nightclub.
The band eventually signed and soon found themselves in the studio to record a song that would change the way people viewed the Stone Roses once and for all.
I remember in Sally Cinnamon for the first time and thinking, I can do that, you know. I can write songs like that. And it was just bang, you know. Everything went into colour. From being grey, dowdy, fucking Manchester students carrying books of Oscar Wilde poetry under their arm, walking around a pissing rain, moaning about how shit life was, you know. It was about peace and love, man.
Sally Cinnamon, you're my world.
To give the impression his band were on the up, Evans was boosting attendances at gigs with his own unique brand of marketing.
For some bizarre reason, we were in town and it was the Lord Mayor's Parade. And this guy come up and just gave us a bunch of tickets and said, do you want to go and see a band tonight? And I said, yeah. And they were just tickets for the International. He didn't have the band's name or anything like that. And subsequently realised many years later it was Gareth Evans, but apparently he used to do that quite a lot to people who looked cool in Manchester, which I was very impressed about.
Finally, in April 1989, the band released their debut album. Produced by John Leckie, dial twiddler for such bands as Simple Minds and XTC, it confirmed the Stone Roses as music's hottest property.
John Leckie was always good at getting great sounds. You know, he used to work at Bloody Abbey Road and stuff, and he made a great piece of work. Still stands up to this day, man.
They had it. They had the songs, the fucking image, everything.
You know, it was like, fucking hell, man. This is what it must have been like seeing the Beatles for the first time.
You know, there isn't no doubt in your mind that there was winners.
The Stone Roses had come a long way. Almost overnight, it seemed, they transformed themselves from musical outcasts into the band on everyone's lips. In May 1990, the Stone Roses announced their biggest and most ambitious concert to date, Spike Island.
It was just some field in the middle of the Mersey with bloody chemical works there and stuff.
Manchester's answer to Woodstock would be talked about for years to come. But some see it as the event which triggered the Stone Roses' downfall. For many of the 35,000 fans who turned up, Spike Island got off to a bad start.
Just remember they'd been there all fucking day. Thank God it wasn't raining. I know the support bands were fucking atrocious. Whoever put that bill together had no sense of the event.
Spike Island was done with all our money, remember? We set it up with our money. The Stone Roses didn't have money then.
It was done on the cheap, I thought.
A cheap job. I put bridges across the canal. I fenced the whole site. A cheap job. Remember, it was only £13.50 a ticket. For an outdoor gig, are you sure?
The words piss up and brewery spring to mind on that one. You'd think if he was on the Mersey estuary, someone would have the foresight to check on whether the tide's going to be unusually high that day, you know what I mean?
The worst would have been if it would have rained while they were all on the island.
The guy would blunder his way through things. People could have ended up drowning and shit, you know what I mean?
Eventually, at a little after 9 o'clock, the Stone Roses launched into their opening number.
sound was shit. They played a fucking blinder, you know, but you couldn't hear anything because the wind was coming in off the whatever fucking river it is off the Mersey and blowing this, and you could hear it in bits and pieces.
The gig for me was a bit of a non-event. I think we played okay, but the wind was blowing the sound that way when the people was over there, kind of thing. It was pretty badly thought out.
But in spite of everything, Spike Island was a turning point. Confident that the Stone Roses would eventually win their freedom, Gareth Evans set about finding his band a major new label. This meant going to America.
It's a big business, a big, boring, fat old business. You know, saying that, if you sell a lot of records over there, you become filthy fucking rich. And basically, at the end of the day, that's what we all wanted.
In 1992, 3 long years after the release of their first album, the Stone Roses went back into the studio to start work on the follow-up.
When Silvertone injuncted us, it was so difficult to regenerate the momentum, you know, get it going again, and that's probably the times when we thought of just fucking calling it a day sometimes, but then thought, no, you know, we can't, we've manoeuvred ourselves into this position now, it's only fair that we give it a shot, you know.
I need to be myself.
But times were changing. As the Stone Roses struggled to recapture their magic, a new wave of bands were rewriting the musical landscape, led by Manchester's latest pop prodigies, Oasis.
We want to blow out every other band into oblivion. As simple as that.
Amongst their first victims were the Stone Roses. When the new album, called The Second Coming, finally hit the shops, more than 5 years after its predecessor, it bombed.
We approached it in a different way. We didn't have the songs before we waited. We thought, right, well, the most stupid, expensive way to do it is to move into a studio and try and write as you go. And it just went tits up, absolutely tits up. It was just like throwing money into a bottomless pit.
And in a dramatic final twist, the Stone Roses now discovered that they were being sued by Gareth Evans.
When we heard that Gareth was then going to take us to court for breach of management contract, after we'd fucking stopped pissing our sides laughing, then the anger started, you know. The guy's got some balls and some neck.